Hey, how's it going? So in this video, I want to talk to you guys about why I'm strongly considering and about to pull the trigger and move to Puerto Rico. For those of you guys who are not familiar with me, my name is Sam Sauter. I run a company called West Channel Media. We've managed close to about $7 million in advertising spend over the last 36 months. We've worked with some of the biggest coaches, consultants, personal brands in the space. I've been a media buyer since 2018. I was in-house, and then I kind of went off on my own about 36 months ago. You can see here we've helped some of the biggest industry leaders in our space, people that have raised $100 million for their software company to billion-dollar fund managers to personal brands with tens of millions of followers on their platform. So we do a lot of meta ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads. We build some CRMs, and we do a lot of sales recruiting and management on behalf of our clients, all to help them grow. We work with less than 10 clients at any given time. Goal is we are kind of view ourselves as growth partner. That's kind of a cheesy term now. It gets thrown around a lot, but that is the truth. We do not want 500 clients. We want 5 to 10 incredible businesses that we think we can drive a ton of value to and, add an additional hundreds of thousands of dollars to $1 million per month in revenue for their business, leveraging some of these paid advertising strategies. Okay. Now, sorry about that. I've been fortunate enough in my career. I remember when I first got my first job as a media buyer, I was at a $25 billion fund. I moved across the country, and I was very excited because I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my family lived there on about $40,000 to $50,000 a year in expenses. That was like our burn to live our lifestyle. And I got a job as a media buyer in Los Angeles for $100,000 a year. And I thought I was rich. I thought that I made it basically. And what I found is $100,000 a year is really, it was a $70,000 base plus a $30,000 bonus, $75,000, annualized after or monthly, broken up into monthly payments. After tax had been taken out, I was left with $5,000 a month. It cost $3,000 a month or $2,500 a month in rent to live here. And then it was $1,500 a month for my food. I was up to $4,000 then. It was, call it $300-400 a month for my beat up Volkswagen plus gas plus insurance, and another $500 a month for just miscellaneous things. I was left with my $5,000 a month. And I just felt very poor. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I knew something was wrong. I felt miserable. I didn't have any freedom. I had 10 days of PTO per year. And I thought, my God, I want to get free as fast as humanly possible. So it was about a 40 to 60 hour a week job. And the other 10 or 20 hours a week for the last 5 years, I had no friend, no girlfriend, no dating life, no life. I was researching on how I was going to start my next business, how I was going to grow, how I was going to get out of the rat race, started my own agency. And for years, that business was not super successful. It was break even or losing money. I had to work multiple jobs, actually teaching tennis lessons on the weekend to sometimes pay for the agency when I was reinvesting into staff, into contractors, into customer acquisition. Eventually started working, and I developed a multiple six-figure net worth at the age of 26. It took me 3.5 years to save my first $100,000 here living in Los Angeles, working multiple jobs, working 7 days per week. And then the next few hundred thousands of dollars in net worth came rather quickly because I had built a machine that was kicking off, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and some of our partnerships and a significant amount of personal income and cash flow that came to me as a result of that. Okay. So one of the things that was really shocking to me and really horrific to me is that if I continue to live in Los Angeles, whereas candidly where I lived and where I enjoyed living, I'd be working for the federal government 190 days a year. And I don't want to make this political, but I think the government is one of the most disgusting, insidious, most repulsive systems on the planet that's meant to repress people and basically take and extract value from the value creators of society towards a bureaucratic group that provides no value to society. And I would give the money if I thought that it was helping people or that was providing value, but I don't. And it's just disgusting to me that if I continue down this rat race of living here, and I love living here, that I would have to be effectively giving up half of my life to work for the federal government, which I just can't live with and I couldn't stomach. Okay. Even if I were to move to Miami, which would be, if I wasn't living in LA, that's where I would live in Miami. Still 150 days a year, I'd be working for the federal government. I just can't live with myself when I'm doing that. And I'm not a real estate guy. If you watch some of my other channels, other videos, I'm a Bitcoin guy. That's where my money is being invested. That's where I spend, it's as somebody who came from working at a $25 billion fund. I was a licensed financial advisor, passed my series certifications to be a licensed investment advisor, to be able to work the leads that we were generating from our campaigns. I believe that Bitcoin was different from all other traditional investments, and it was going to outperform everything. and I just wanted to buy as much as I could with the profits of my agency. And I've been reinvesting everything since 2022, roughly. Um, now, another thing that I wanted to mention is my goal is to build a $10 million net worth. The goal for me, I've already achieved escape velocity in terms of my investments exceed my personal living expenses right now. Living in Los Angeles doesn't provide me the most amazing, lavish lifestyle ever, but I am free. It's provided tremendous amount of ease and peace in my mind. It's kind of removed a lot of stress from my life. But the ultimate goal for me is to get to about a $10 million net worth. So 20% of that, I can live off of approximately $1 million a year, somewhat stress free. When I moved to Los Angeles, it would change my life because I saw a level of wealth that I had never seen in my life. And it inspired me and it changed my life and exposed me to people that were growth oriented and exposed me to what was possible. But the downside of that is I saw most of the people that were rather wealthy were not wealthy from a time perspective or from a balance sheet perspective. They were wealthy from an income perspective. They would be a guy who, they wouldn't really start making their money till they were in their 40s. And I'm not judging that. I think that the opportunities the internet created allow people that, from the power of media, they can get richer much sooner. Okay. But the average person here in Los Angeles was, typically in, private equity or law or, financial services of some sort. And they didn't start making real money till they were in their 40s. And let's say they made $1 million a year. Well, they were W-2 earners, so they were only taking $500,000 a year in income. That's 40 grand a month. To buy a home here and support a family of, 3 people, you spend 20 grand a month on the rent. Now you're left with 20, 2 kids in private school. That's $5K a month each. Now you're up to $30K a month in income. Maybe you want to take a couple of vacations. You pay for food for everybody. You pay for some activities. And these people are just, they're not wealthy in my eyes. Personally, I don't view that as, I wouldn't enjoy, if I was forced to be stressed and have to work 60 hours a week, I don't think I'd prefer to have children. I'd rather just be single and have my freedom and my peace of mind. I know some of the people that are living through this and make $1 million a year and have to make $1 million a year and have tremendous overhead and a family that they would have to let down if for whatever reason they didn't get promoted that year and they had to work soul-sucking jobs that they did not enjoy to get ahead. So my goal has always been, can I achieve a $10 million net worth prior to starting my family? So when I do have children, I could have a nanny. I think that would be really important for me and my wife to be able to spend more time together, to give her a break so that she is filled up enough to be able to spend time with me. And also I would, like to have, a bit of staff in the house in terms of a cook, a cleaner, so that I could spend more of my life, buy back more of my time, spending time on the things that fill me up and less on kind of the more mundane, boring tasks. Because at the end of the day, what I really want my life to be about is spending quality time with quality people. That's I stole that from Robbie Alvavala, somebody I really look up to and respect a lot in our space. I didn't have a tremendous social circle growing up or a tremendous dating life growing up. So I'd kind of like to make up for lost time a little bit and just buy back more of my time and just buy back more of my life and experience more. I've been fortunate. I got to, and still am at this time of this recording, I'm running all of Dan Blazarian's paid advertisements. I spent a ton of time with the guy. He's helping me out right now. He's helping me with stem cells for my knee right now. I'm going through a surgery, and he is so protective of his time, and he's lived such a good life. He's lived, he doesn't really do the hedonism stuff behind closed doors. If you see him now, he's a little bit more chill and relaxed. The social media thing was a little bit of a stick, in my opinion. But it actually wasn't a stick. He was a full-blown sex addict, but I met Dan in 2025. He's very, very different now, but I'm getting sidetracked. But the point is that the way he spends his time is so special. He doesn't waste his time. And he told me, it's like, I feel like I live 5 lifetimes because he doesn't do anything that he doesn't want to do. He wakes up in the morning, he plays paintball with his friend, he jet skis, he water skis, and there's 20 of his friends, at his house hanging out with him, after. It's just such a good life. And, each of you who hit the lottery right now, your life and your actions would be so different. So money makes all your decisions for you. We live in an economic planet. We are bounded by the need to have money. And so I just choose to acknowledge that I'm playing that game, and I want to play that game to the best of my ability so that I can buy back as much of my life as I can and live a more kind of authentic life. Because truthfully, my life would be very, very different right now if I had hit the lottery or I had made a lot of money or I inherited a lot of money, which I didn't. So anyway, I want to get into the topic of the video, which is like why I'm considering moving to Puerto Rico. You can see here in this column, I have the monthly income and the threshold. And kind of once I started hitting that $40,000 a month income rate, that's where it started to make sense for me. And I could move from LA to Puerto Rico and save about $10,000 a month. That is a meaningful amount of money for me. Moving to Miami isn't going to change my life. That's the only other place that I would really enjoy living besides LA. And you can see here that these are the tax brackets that I'd be paying at various income levels. These are what I'd be paying at Miami tax bracket levels. And then Puerto Rico gets as low as about 7% total tax. It goes down because it's a little bit complicated, but basically you have to pay yourself a base salary if you move to Puerto Rico. That's taxed at a relatively high rate, but the corporate tax is much, much lower. As the corporate profits become a greater percentage that is taxed at a lower rate, your overall tax burden goes down tremendously. So for me, where it starts to make sense is that kind of $500,000 a year income rate, which I'm fortunate enough to, I've surpassed that. I'm strongly considering moving for that reason, and I'm going to check out apartments. I'm very close to pulling the trigger at this moment in time. Now, where I would want to live is I want to live in Dorado Beach because I want to do the networking and connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs that are on a similar path to me. I don't think that I would have much in common with the average everyday islander that's just not building businesses. I just want people that are doing similar things to me, and I'm interested in online entrepreneurship and growth and tennis, full transparency. So those are kind of that's my only interest is tennis. I play Division I college tennis besides entrepreneurship. So that is kind of everything that I've been thinking about. The relocation costs are going to be about $10K. I can see all in the cost here. I would also increase my lifestyle expenses another $7,000 because to live in Dorado Beach, I would have to, move into about a $12,000 a month apartment. I have a couple of friends that want to do this with me. $3,000 a month for food. There's a tennis club that I would want to be part of if I lived there, a gym, a spa. You'd want to use the amenities if you're living on the property. I do a lot of travel to the United States. There'd be miscellaneous costs associated with relocating, and then the required donation. So I think that would bring my total cost to living there in Puerto Rico to about 15 grand a month. I only live about on $7,000 a month post-tax living here in Los Angeles. So that's something that I'm taking into account. So kind of my break even in terms of my increased living and my tax savings would be about that $300,000 a year income mark, which I've exceeded. And now it's getting to the point where it's starting to make sense. And I don't think that it's going to go in the opposite direction. I think it's just going to continue to frustrate me and make me more angry as I'm continuing to pay more taxes towards this just bureaucratic and disgusting organization that is the government. That's my opinion. And I know I sound kind of somber and jaded in this video, but that's my honest opinion, and maybe it'll change as time progresses. One of the things that I think is going to be really hard for me is that I kind of have a checklist for happiness. I spend a lot of time in my life trying to meditate and trying to fix my internal feelings with my internal thoughts. And I did a bit obsessively. I did about an hour and a half of meditation per day for almost 4 years of my life. And I didn't think it provided me the happiness that I was looking for. I think it helped me a lot, but I think that we are human beings and we are inherently dependent, and we have physiological needs. We have social connection needs. We have physiological needs from our nutrition to our health. So for me, the things that I know that I need to be healthy is I need to have a girlfriend. I don't know what dating is going to be like in Puerto Rico or in El Dorado. I need a social circle. I need people with a like-minded mindset. That's why I wouldn't move to anywhere except for Dorado Beach, where I know I have the opportunity to meet other, successful entrepreneurs. And the other thing that makes me really happy, transparently, is tennis. I was on the path to being a professional, and money was the reason that I had to stop that pursuit that brought me so much joy and meaning and purpose in my life, because I wasn't good enough to make a living in it. So the other thing that makes me really happy is sunlight, ocean, which I'd be really, really excited about living the island lifestyle. I need a good roommate, or I need to live alone altogether. And, I need to have the opportunity to have healthy food and gym. These are the things that I'm looking for as I'm kind of basing my move. And I think that I can meet all these expectations moving to Puerto Rico. Here's my model. If you'd like me to send you this model, I can. The goal is to build a $10 million net worth so I can live on $1 million passive income, and then choose to whether or not I want to work from that point and build a family where I have 3 to 5 kids, all going to private school with a wife who are traveling and going on luxury vacations, maybe a second vacation home, and living in a major metropolitan city, which I've just come to enjoy, being around the wealth. It inspires me. Just being in a place where there's some action and there's things really happening, which is important to me. So I believe in order to do that in a stress-free manner, not with active income, but with passive income, because I'm never going to live a lifestyle that is not generated from passive income. I don't like spending active income at all. I think it's so exhausting and grueling making the money and so stressful, and there's so much risk associated with my line of work. Agency accounts churn, even if we're doing the right thing, that I've hoarded every penny that I've made. And for better or worse, it's allowed me to build a multiple six-figure net worth in my mid-20s. So, and I'm very quickly approaching on that seven-figure net worth, and I'll be documenting as I hit that. But I hope this was helpful. I hope this was maybe inspiring to somebody who's maybe considering making the move or thinking about where they want to relocate or where they want to live in their life. I think it makes a lot of sense if you're young and you're doing the online entrepreneurship and you have the opportunity to live in a tax haven or a more favorable tax jurisdiction. It makes sense. I'm not a fan of the government. I do not want to pay government. I don't want to work for the government 190 days a year. And that's just my mindset. This is something that I built for myself. Hopefully it's helpful for you. And if you have a business that's doing more than $100,000 a month in revenue and you want to grow through online advertising, then reach out to me. We do Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads. We worked with literally 25 different industries, from billion-dollar fund managers to software companies that raise hundreds of millions of dollars to billion-dollar fund managers that are raising capital. We've done it all. We do lead gen, performance marketing, CRM management, sales recruiting, pretty much everything that you would need end-to-end. We view ourselves as growth partners. We can look at your business holistically. We're not just like dorky media buyers that are only good inside the ad account. We can look at your whole business as a whole and kind of consult on a wide variety of things that can unlock more growth and enterprise value in your business. Okay. So that's pretty much everything that I have to share for tonight. I hope this was helpful. If you're doing less than 100 grand a month, I've done with you consulting options. You can still book a call, talk with somebody on my team. And anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.